Hey everybody, welcome back to the My Bourbon Journey Whiskey Review channel. Yes, we are back at it again. Today with a product from Brown-Forman. As of lately, they've really been kind of killing it. And this was a product that I really don't have in my area. And I have to say a big shout out right now to friend, patron of the channel, Christopher David. Thank you so much for getting these bottles, donating them to the channel for me to do a review of. So thank you so much. So Cooper's Craft, what is this? So this specifically is going to be their Cooper's Craft Barrel Reserve. Comes in at 100 proof or 50% ABV. Mash bill on this is undisclosed. It is non-age stated, and the MSRP on this is right around that $30, $35 price point. So really nice entry-level pricing on this bourbon. So this was something that I had in a blind and did really well. And I was very curious as to kind of really what it would evolve into, and then eventually do a review of it. But again, we didn't have it in our area, and Christopher David was nice enough to, again, send the bottles my way for me to do a review of. So the one that's to its left is just kind of a step down, is their standard version. I believe 82.2 proof, I believe is what that one is. And we'll get into basically the 100 proof today and maybe talk about the other one at another time. So specifically, again, this is the Cooper's Craft Barrel Reserve. Again, 100 proof, 50% ABV. Mash bill undisclosed on this, non-age stated, and again, MSRP right around that $30, $35 price point. So, all right, let's go ahead and we'll kind of get into this. Color-wise, you can see this is a really nice kind of deep kind of copper color. This project that they have, or this barrel or this bottle, is, I know they do some chiseling or chipping out of the barrel to allow the whiskey to really kind of get into these barrels, pull out a little bit more of that char and the coloring, let the whiskey kind of just get into the barrel and let the barrel kind of do its magic. So that's kind of the essence behind this release, and it's to try to implement a little bit more of the barrel influence, into the whiskey. So yeah, as you can see, color-wise, really nice kind of deep, kind of rich copper color. So, all right, let's get into the nose here. Oh man. So my first thought on this is like a praline or like a butter pecan, something like that. Really nice kind of like deep brown sugars, burnt sugars specifically. A little bit of that dark chocolate aspect to it. Some molasses is there for sure. Even a little bit of like a vanilla custard on this one. Really nice rich caramel note. And kind of something I interpret as like a sweet oak. There's an oak that's there, but it's not like a pungent oak. There's this sweetness that's kind of behind that. Some of those like dried dark fruits. And I say dried because the dried fruits have a tendency to be a little bit more kind of like bold, so to speak. Really nice baking spice on this one. A lot of like that cinnamon, maybe even a little bit of nutmeg on this. The cinnamon isn't like overly dominant, more of a lighter cinnamon on this. And then something right there at the end, a little bit of like a fresh coffee bean, not really since it's like after it's been ground, but more of like, a whole bean kind of note to that. All right, let's more importantly, let's see how this one's going to taste. Cheers. Boy, right away again, that molasses, really rich like burnt sugar notes on that. That coffee bean aspect to it is there as well. Again, there's a little bit of that like pecan, like a roasted pecan type of note there. Nice vanilla custard on that. Definitely those dark fruits again. That coffee note's really sticking out to me on this one. Slight dryness on this. Coats the mouth really well. It's got a nice mouth feel. Not overly thin, not super viscous or anything, but still enough to coat the mouth really well. Nice little bit of a Kentucky hug that's there. Not overly dominant by any means. Maybe like a little bit of like an unsweetened chocolate, like a baker's chocolate, something that's got a little bit of, I don't want to quite say like bitterness, but you don't get like that overly sweet chocolate, more of like a cacao, something like that, where there's the chocolate influence, but not the super sweet part of the chocolate. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Really nice lingering spice. That spice has kind of been there throughout. Yeah, the coffee or the oak in this one really starts to shine as it hits the mid and back of the palate and kind of really starts to develop. I'd say for 100 proof bourbon, there's some really nice kind of like rich complexity that's there to it. You know, it's not super big and bold, but again, a lot of those kind of traditional Brown-Forman-ish kind of profiles with kind of the heavy burnt sugars, the dark fruits, the nice oak and spice that's there. Really nice bourbon so far. The one thing I'll say with this is I really like the spice on it. I like the mouthfeel. I like the fact that there's a fresh roasted coffee bean aspect to it. There's a little bit of, again, that baker's chocolate, not overly sweet. Nice barrel influence on it. Again, that lingering spice is really nice. Dark fruits, again, really present on this one. A little bit of that, again, that vanilla custard kind of keeps popping up for me on this one. Yeah, as it sits on the palate a little bit more of the molasses. Dark fruits really start to come out a little bit more of that like a dark cherry, something like that. Not like a fake cherry, none of that. Really nice, rich kind of dark fruit aspect to it. Yeah, and there's even a little bit of there at the end, a little bit of like a fresh pie crust on this as well. A little bit of not so doughy, but it's more of that like what a flaky pie crust would kind of taste like. Still a little bit of that lingering like pecan note that's there. Yeah, I mean, I would say overly, or for a 100 proof bourbon, it's got a nice amount of complexity, some really nice richness that's there. I would say this makes for a great daily sipping kind of bourbon, not only because of its flavor profile, but the prices is right there in that like lower to mid kind of price range, that $30, $35. I think it offers an awful lot within that category. It probably punches, I would say, even a little bit higher than that price range, that $30, $35, you know, range. Nowadays, you don't get a whole lot, you know, necessarily in there, but for this 30, 35 bucks, it kind of punches a little bit above its belt, just in terms of what it overly has to kind of offer. So if we kind of get into the finish aspect on this one, I would say, again, you're still left with a lot of that oak, that nice kind of fresh coffee bean aspect, you know, some of that like unsweetened baker's chocolate, really nice lingering like spice that's there. Again, some of those nutmegs, maybe a little bit of light cinnamon on this. Dark fruits for sure. But I like how the spice on this one lingers. That's a little bit something that Brown-Forman's kind of known for, is that lingering spice, or it is for me anyway, I should say. You know, medium on the finish, I would say. A little bit of dryness, again, that comes in kind of late for me on this. Not overly dry by any means, but overall, I think it's a really nice bourbon for its price range. I don't know the total availability. I think it's starting to get out there a little bit more, but as of right now, I think there's only a select few states that it's being offered in. But for those of you who can get this, I wouldn't pass it up anymore. If you didn't know much or anything about it, I would definitely say this is worth picking up in that price range. Now let's kind of shift over a little bit to this guy without getting into a lot. I've tried it, And what I would say is, if you want something that's less proof, maybe not as bold or as complex, you can go down to the, I think, 82.2 proof on this guy. And it's gonna give you a very similar kind of profile to the 100 proof, just not as much there because it is lacking in the proof. But it is an option if you're looking for something that doesn't necessarily have the proof to it, or if you're really trying to introduce somebody to a really nice bourbon. This may be something to really consider because of, again, like I said before, its overall profile and what it really has to offer for its price. I think this is in that $25-ish, $25-ish range. So again, a really nice bourbon for a really good price. So with that being said, again, I want to say thank you so much to Christopher David for providing the bottles for me to do a review of. Greatly appreciate that. Also, if you'd like to help support the channel, you can through my Patreon page, which I'll have linked in the description below. Also, something a little bit new for me is my merch. So again, I'll have it linked in the description below. Shirts, t-shirts, long sleeve, quarter zips, hats, mugs, all of those kinds of things. So make sure you check the links in the description below. Also, if you'd like to follow me, you can on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of those places at My Bourbon Journey. So again, thank you so much for tuning in to another one of my reviews. Greatly appreciate it. And as always, and remember, it's about the journey and not the destination. Cheers.